I'm really very happy to be here. But before I start, muna, kailangan ko pala ng mga formalities. I'm now Secretary of Health. Feeling ko kasi nung inintroduce mo ako, parang nasa UP lang tayo eh. Let me go through the formalities. Of course, Dr. Maria Rosario Capiding, President of the Philippine Foundation for Vaccination. Professor Lulu Bravo, Executive Director of the Philippine Foundation for Vaccination. Dr. Francesca Pantig, Chair of the Scientific Committee of the Philippine National Immunization Conference. Distinguished guests, partners, immunization advocates, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant morning to all. I'll start with a story. This year, I attended the UN General Assembly because there were lots of health issues. The topic was in the UN General Assembly was the non-communicable diseases and mental health, which is nakakalimutan and not funded in public health measures. Kadalasan, immunization ang pinag-uusapan. On the side after the meeting, in-invite ako ng Harvard Medical School to actually give a talk. I went to Harvard, wala na palang mga lecture doon. Ang teaching pala sa Harvard is they have what they call parang communities. They have communities of about 25 students. They have 1 or 2 facilitators and they go through topics and learn medicine that way. Wala nang lecture. Parang individualized instruction sila. Tapos they only have lectures when some person comes, like me. So I gave a lecture. I filled the hall like this also. And the faculty also attend. So as was said, I'm a trauma surgeon and I became Undersecretary of Health and then now Secretary of Health. And I gave a very important remark that I think is very important to this audience. I said, vaccination is actually harder than surgery. Kung akala nyo mahirap mag-opera, mas mahirap mag-vaccination program. Just to get the FIC, I didn't realize that there are so many moving parts in trying to attain that particular program. So it's parang to me that's harder. Or leading the Department of Health, trying to get our fully immunized child targets is so much harder. And I even thought it was easy. I put it as number 1 of my 8-point action agenda kasi in my mind, ano ba yung pagbabakuna? Tuturok mo lang naman. Eh, di ba yung pag-oopera? I-sterilize ka, mag-scrub ka, may pre-op, ang daming preparasyon. Ini-equate ko in my head that vaccination is that act of injecting to the shoulder of the child. Hindi pala. Ang laki pala nung program. All the way from research and development to planning the whole program to procurement. So salamat for inviting me here. All the people who are advocating for immunization, vaccination. I do hope kayo ang tutulong sa akin to really attain our public health outcome number 1, which is fully immunized children. 95% of our children fully immunized. So, yun ang storya talaga. So, ako, natututo ako sa inyo. I'm learning from you. I'm learning from the experts about what we should be doing. So let me extend my appreciation to the Philippine Foundation for Vaccination for its enduring commitment to vaccine advocacy. For decades, the PFV has been a trusted partner in strengthening public confidence, supporting our health workers, and sustaining national awareness that vaccines do save lives. Your efforts have helped protect generations of Filipinos, especially during periods when misinformation and vaccine hesitancy pose serious threats to public health. Maraming salamat sa inyong pakikiabe. Abe is your team, I noticed. And the abe is the Kapampangan word pag nagkamustahan yata, di ba? Anong pakikiabe. And also for working with the Department of Health in its mission for disease prevention and protection. Last year, we marked the 50th anniversary of the Philippine National Immunization Program, one of the Department of Health's most successful and enduring initiatives. From the EPI, or the Expanded Program of Immunization, which was established in 1976, isa tayo sa mga unang countries that started immunization, and today's digital and integrated platforms, the National Immunization Program reflects the resilience and cooperation of Filipino people on behalf of our belief that prevention remains the most cost-effective investment in health. There's going to be one activity left. in the Department of Health that should be immunizing our children, our elderly, and our at-risk population. Because of this program, millions of children have been protected from diseases such as polio, measles, diphtheria, tetanus, hepatitis. Each dose administered is a guarantee of a safer and healthier future for every Filipino child. By the way, next year, dahil nga ang state of the nation natin, mababa ang ating immunization rates. We are doing the MRC earlier. So, pinasok namin sa 2026 budget, 250 billion pesos of tax money was divided between agriculture, education, and health. So, I got about 90 billion of that. Palakpak kayo dyan. So, and that's going to healthcare. Siguro naman, walang ghost project sa healthcare. Ang ghost sa atin, yung namatay dahil hindi nabakunahan. Yun ang nagiging ghost. But hopefully, we can do better with the money they're giving us. So my problem is more of absorptive capacity and making sure that this is efficiently used to make sure we get our targets. So what's our current status in immunization? As of today, August 2025, that's the latest data we have, only 971,941 children under 12 months have been classified as fully immunized. Usually, ang tinatarget dyan, mga 1.8 to 2 million a year. But you know what? I also discovered, mali yung ating statistical computation. At umamin na sa akin ang PSA. Apparently, there had been padding of our census in Mindanao because of political and yung mga divisions para magkaroon ng congressional districts, ERA. So there are statistics that say our true population is not 120 million. Parang nasa 90 plus million lang tayo. So when you do that, if our population is bloated, wala talaga yung mga tao, talagang hindi mo magagawa yung fully immunized statistics mo at hindi mo rin mahahanap yung mga batang ini-estimate mo. So, umpisa tayo sa maling data. So, we need to correct that. I still don't know what PSA will do, but we will be having a census, I think, next year. Due tayo for census again. And I do hope that that census will be now more correct. So, I really think, kaya napakababa ng rates natin, immunization rate, is because our denominator is bloated and over. And I think in the provinces, sinasabi nila sa akin to, Sir, nahanap na namin lahat ng bata, alam namin lahat ng under 5, pero wala na kami makita, pero ang baba pa rin ng nasa 50% pa lang daw kami. So, the other thing is migration. A lot of our communities, although we have this specific rate of 1.8 to 2 million kids being born every year, many families migrate to the urban centers. So nawawala yung mga family. Meron ding families na transient. Pag may trabaho yung asawa, lumilipat pati yung... So naiiba talaga yung ating stats in our different islands. So isipin nyo, 971,941 children pa lang ang fully immunized. We're now giving 16 antigens na yata. Tama ba? 16 antigens already. And in other countries, hindi FIC binibilang nila. Or other ASEAN nations do not count FIC. They actually count antigens deployed. Kasi ang hirap talaga ma-achieve yung FIC if you start increasing all your antigens. Pag dumami na yung diseases nyo, may ano yan, yung sigmoid curve mo bababa kasi mas mahirap makumpleto yung all these diseases na piniprevent mo kasi 2 to 3 doses yan bawat isa. Pero pag tiningnan nyo yung ating first dose, ang taas ng ating first dose, inaabot natin yung 95%. Patay tayo pagdating ng second dose and third dose. Why? Kasi hindi na nahahabol ng LGUs. I think sa private sector, nahahabol nila. Kasi lahat ng anak ko nakakumpleto ng doses nila sa pediatrician nila. So I suppose, the people that go to the private pediatricians are able to complete with their vaccine book. But our people in the communities, unless tatawagan mo sila or pupuntahan mo sila house to house, they will not get that second dose or third dose. They'll think na bakunahan na yung anak ko. To think incomplete. So that's why we never reach the FIC of these children. While this shows progress, yung meron tayong at least 1 million children vaccinated, fully vaccinated, it also underscores the gap we must close. You know that 971,000 is only 40% of our target. But hindi ko alam, baka 50 lang because of the wrong estimates. It also underscores the gap that we must close. Mababa pa rin yun. To me, it's no excuse. I still think even if you say I add 20%, kasi hindi ito nakabilang ang private. Binibilang lang namin yung public sector. So let's say sabi nila 15 to 20% of the children go to the private pediatrician for the immunization. Dagdagan mo ta ng 15 to 20% of the total, kulang pa rin siya. Mababa pa rin tayo. Nasa 65% pa lang siya. So every percentage point that we gain represents a life that is protected. Every missed child or missed dose is a reminder of the work that remains. And this is the reason why next year, mag-MRC ako, kahit hindi pa scheduled. Bakit? Kasi every year, if your rates are only 71%, 30% of the kids are unvaccinated, unprotected. So in 2-3 years, ang dami na nun, di ba? So that's why when I came in, the first thing we did was a measles outbreak immunization, MORI, sa BARM, because BARM had the lowest. Today, sa measles rubella, pinakamataas na ang BARM because we attained 87% immunization of our targets at that time. Yan ang immunization led by a trauma and disaster surgeon. And the help of everybody because everybody actually helped out. Pero sabi ko nga, kaya pala sa BARM, 87%. Then kaya din sa the rest of the country to reach 87% in any immunization program we implement. So, our health workers, many of whom are here today, kayo, na interested in this topic of vaccination, you continue to be the backbone of the success that we have. We travel far and wide carrying vaccines across rivers and mountains, often over very difficult conditions to reach the last mile of service. Nung nag-MORI kami sa BARM, that was the time of Ramadan. So all my vaccinators do not eat or drink from sun up to sundown, yet they achieved 87%. Top that. Imagine vaccinator sila. And I saw the videos of where they were going. They were going to mountains, crossing rivers, talagang sumasakay. And it was mainit kasi it was March. I think it was before Holy Week Holy Week when we started. So, kita mo talaga yung dedication ng all our health workers to actually implement it. And we congratulated BARM for doing that. However, we continue to face system challenges across the immunization planning, procurement, supply chain, logistics, and even data management and service delivery. So in other words, in the whole asset supply system, sabi ko nga sa mga execom ko, bakit pag pumunta ka sa kahit anong isla sa Pilipinas, may soft drink sa sari-sari store, may sigarilyo sa sari-sari store, may beer at alak sa sari-sari store. Pero pumunta ka sa mga health centers sa malalayong isla, tanong ka kung may bakuna, wala po kaming bakuna. At the national and regional levels, the procurement processes remain very vulnerable to corruption. I'm not going to deny it anymore. We're not immune from all the corruption that happens. That you see in DPWH. Kala nyo ba walang corruption sa DOH? Amin ako, meron din yan because that's happening and those are causing delays. Those are causing the protests. Those are causing the non-signing of the agreements for big vaccine companies. And that causes also the walking away of big companies away from the Philippines. We don't want to supply you because hinihinga ng tongpats. Very important din sa akin yon, the process of good governance in this program of immunization. So, we have delays in contracting, complex approval layers. yung 9184, yung COA. Ang bibigat ng problema ko to fight vaccination. As a government official, as a doctor trying to get the vaccine to the arms of our children, it's not easy. That's why I made the comment, mas madali pa mag-opera. In the operating room, my environment is controlled. Pag sinabi ng surgeon, mangyayari yun. Diba? Give me the scalpel, give me the knife. Pag sinabi kong, get out of here, you sterilize my blood, mangyayari yun. So I'm able to contain my operating room. But in the vaccination program, ang hirap, ang daming moving parts. And that's why I made that comment at Harvard. Sabi ko, siguro vaccination isn't that easy. We look at it as easy to vaccinate one child. But to vaccinate a whole population, that's a complex activity. I approached actually Secretary Pangandaman last 2 years ago when I was appointed because of 9184, yung Republic Act natin for procurement. Diba? Lowest compliant bidder. Ang tanong sa inyo, pag bibigyan kita ng bakuna, gusto mo ba yung pinakamura? Siyempre hindi, di ba? Yung pinaka-effective na bakuna ang pipiliin mo. And that most effective might not be the cheapest. Because the cheapest usually, tali kami because 9184 requires you. Luckily, they changed it. Implementable this year. Pero when I looked at annual procurement plan, ang nilagay pa rin ng mga tao ko for competitive bidding lahat. Sabi ko, parang problematic yan. So the other problem I have is that every year, we bid out these vaccines. It's about 1 billion to 2 billion pesos contract. Kaya malaki yan. Nag-aagawan. The moment may ma-disqualify, protest agad. Bayad sila ng protest fee. Nati-delay yung procurement kasi we have to follow the legal process. So my idea was actually to have something like a framework contract. You know what a framework contract is? I can sit down and for the next 3 years, kayo na lang ang mag-supply ng bakuna na to and I'll pay you every year. And kung anong kulang, i-supply nyo pa and I'll pay you again for whatever. That's called the framework contract. I'm hoping we can use some of those. The other one is direct contracting and negotiating. If you're the only company selling the vaccine, bakit pa tayo magko-competitive bidding? Eh wala namang ibang makakabid. So today, these processes are now. So yung APP di ko pinirmahan, pinabalik ko sa program. Reviewin nyo to, huwag niyong kopyahin yung last year because last year said all for competitive bidding because of the law. Now we are allowed direct contracting, negotiated bidding, and even framework contracts for vaccination. This should make the planning and supply chain change. There are also overlapping timelines of procurement, of forecasting, of budget realignments, and occasionally resulting in vaccine supply disruption. I'll give you one example. Flu vaccines. When I came in, sabi ko, bakit ganyan? Dumadating yung flu vaccine, September, October na. Tapos na yung flu season. Yung flu season, rainy season, dapat binibigay natin yung bakuna in April and May, in the heat of summer, to protect our elderly from the flu season. Kaya ngayon, ang daming may flu. Kasi wala pong flu vaccine for the public. Sa private, makakakuha ka. There's no lack of supply of these vaccines in the private drugstores, in the private clinics. But the government, i-deliver sa akin sa December. In fact, ang hiningi ko, teka muna, every year, the flu vaccine is manufactured every September by the vaccine companies. And they actually change the serotypes in it every September. Teka, anong i-deliver nyo? Yung luma nung last year? O yung bago? Sabi ko, hindi. Yung i-deliver nila, dapat yung for next year na. So I can protect. Pinatanong ko pa, magkapareho ba yung last year or this year? Hindi eh. Iniba eh. Akala ko nung una pareho. Kung pareho lang, we'll get it. So these are the things that are very, very difficult in managing this at that level of the health secretary. I'm just explaining this to you kasi baka akala nyo ganun din siya kadali. And I'm telling you, it's very complex and it's actually very hard. And then many players who actually, madaming stakeholders. So very important, it's very good planning. Dapat yan, you give me the vaccines and you procure it on the months I need it, which is April and May. My vaccine should arrive by March. So dapat na-procure mo yan before. Yung tinatawag na early procurement. Pero hindi. Nagdi-delay, mabagal yung bids and awards. And I cannot intervene because in government, as head of the procuring entity, I cannot intervene during the procurement process. I have to let that procurement happen. So kita nyo, ang hirap. Saan na ako? So, meron pang mga market shifts, magkakaroon din tayo ng mga, today, the European vaccine companies used to manufacture a lot of vaccines for children. They don't do anymore. Ang kino-concentrate nila, vaccine sa matatanda, sa adults and elderly. Bakit? Wala na silang market. Negative na yung mga children nila. Sino nagpo-produce ng biggest vaccines? India and China. Even Japan has stopped producing some of the vaccines for children. Nag-a-appeal nga ako sa kanila. So we are dependent on what Serum Institute of India will supply. The largest supplier of vaccines in the world today is the Serum Institute of India, SII. In fact, doon sa pandemic related to that story, gumawa nga sila ng isang building and facility to manufacture vaccines, and then they're asking countries to contribute money to it para pagka nagkaroon ng pandemic, una kang bibigyan ng pera. So it's another facility, like parang magdi-deposit ka doon para kasali ka doon sa vaccine facility, and then you can be supplied in case there is another pandemic. But nakita nyo, naging hanap buhay talaga itong vaccine. And before, it was really just a public health measure. But that's what it is. It is what it is. It's the manufacturing plants have to earn, the countries have to negotiate. There are other ways to go around the corruption around it. So magiging siyang parang flood control if we actually do not watch it. So I need your help. Kailangan ko ng citizens watch. You are the people that can make sure that the vaccine procurement at my agency, at our agency, the Department of Health, is free from corruption and is free from intervention by other stakeholders that want to intervene. These interventions they've done, trying to have corruption in it, ang hihingi sa vaccine company, caused all these delays on all these protests and lawsuits. Yan ang rason. And that's the state of our vaccination. Do you want me to give you an honest thing? Siguro dapat mas mapaganda natin. And I think I need the help of the citizenry. Kagaya nitong flood control, when the people got mad, ngayon madami nang makukulong. Di ba? I think they filed cases against people who are involved. So again, very important ang role nyo lahat in terms of my citizen audit for the vaccine program. You are the experts. You should be looking at how this government, how the Department of Health is implementing, planning, procuring, and delivering the vaccines for our people. These are your taxes. In some cases, the lack of agile procurement mechanisms has constrained our ability to secure timely deliveries, especially during supply shocks or when responding to emerging diseases. At the local level, there are logistical bottlenecks that persist. Many provinces and municipalities still rely on manual inventory of systems in the age of digital health. What's happening with my NIP? It's actually the same. We buy a lot of vaccines, oversupply nga eh. Pero ba't hindi umaabot dun sa mga bata? Because our healthcare is devolved. It's no longer the DOH vaccinating. It's the local government units. We just supply them with the vaccine and support them. So, kita nyo, all over the country, iba-iba yung vaccination rates. There will be governors and mayors na magaling sa bakuna, pa-prioritize ito, and they will even put in some of their government funds to make sure that the vaccination achieves its targets. And there are those na mema lang. Hindi yan ang importante sa kanila. Importante sa kanila, jobs, farm-to-market roads, or whatever, or kung ano yung magkakaroon sila ng corruption. So we're looking at the long measures. Epekto po yan ng devolution of healthcare. Because we used to have 95%. Naalala ko, kasama ko si Secretary Pabier, we reached 95%. National Immunization Day, kinopya tayo ng ibang bansa sa National Immunization Day. Ngayon, nakakagawa ba tayo ng National Immunization Day? Hindi na. Kasi hindi naman tumutulong yung ibang LGU. Diba? There, sasabihin nila, wala kaming personnel, wala kaming tao. So you only get a sputtering of local chief executives that would help us. And I need you, the community, to help me push for the importance of this vaccination. At the local level, logistics bottlenecks persist. Ay nako, kwento ko na naman sa inyo. Naalala ko nung nag-COVID-19 kami, dineliver namin yung COVID-19 vaccination sa isang Mindanao, hindi ko na sabihin yung probinsya, kumpleto na yung vaccination for the following week to vaccinate. Aba, yung security guard, in-unplug yung refrigerator. Nung Friday, yung pala yung practice niya. Every Friday, ina-unplug ang cold chain. Patay tayo. Hindi na namin magamit ngayon yun. So again, these are very simple errors, but they are big blunders in terms of the vaccine efficacy. Inisip ko, nangyayari din ba yan sa NIP vaccines ko? Is that happening in the LGUs? Pina-unplug or nawawalang kuryente? During the weekend, nandoon yung rep sa health center. Nandoon yung mga bakuna. Nawala yung kuryente for several hours. So active pa ba yung bakuna na binibigay natin after bumalik yung kuryente after several hours? Sa iba nga, 6 hours, 12 hours, walang kuryente. Pag weekend, dahil wala opisina, walang kuryente doon sa probinsya. Pero yung bakuna namin, safe kaya? So yun ang mga tanong ko dyan. Many provinces and municipalities rely so much on manual inventory. Di ba tayo, pag tumawag ka sa cellphone mo, alam na kaagad ng Globe at Smart kung ano yung tinawag mo, kung nasaan ka, kung ano. Pero today, tayo, manual pa rin. So, backward, no? We face limited cold chain storage. Yun yung pinaka-difficulty. I remember nung nag-COVID-19 vaccination kami sa Sulu, may tumulong sa akin yung remote area medical. They had drones that could carry 1 kilogram boxes. So nilagay namin yung vaccines from Holo City to the remote area. So dineliver lang yon nung drone doon sa vaccination site after tinanggal doon sa freezer. Naalala niyo mga -70 yung mga freezers natin noon because they were mRNA vaccines. So nakapag-vaccinate in remote areas with the use of modern drones. So this is another thing we need to think about. Are drones going to help us? Is AI going to help us? Is GIS mapping going to help us? So we can be able to achieve our vaccination targets. These are valid questions. And solar power, we should be having solar power. Para yung refrigeration at least, kahit mamatay yung power, may solar energy pa rin doon sa refrigeration and cold chain system of our vaccines. So again, our problems are in the geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas. These gaps delay the movement of vaccines from central warehouses to communities. So ito yung very important, no? Yung last mile delivery. May project nga ako, I loaned 450 million from the dollars, from the World Bank, and I'm going to build in 17 provinces 250 rural health units that can do surveillance and has cold chain with solar power and Starlink. Yan, Hindi binigay ng ano yan, through a loan yan. Oh, the other nice thing is, I continued to receive grants from the United States government. Di ba sinara ang USAID? Binigyan pa rin ako ng 200 million. 80 million pa rin yung sa cold chain. Kasi USAID used to help us with the cold chain and logistics supply chain management for our vaccines. So tuloy yun. Tuloy yung support, pero hindi na, ang tawag hindi na USAID. It's now foreign assistance of the State Department. And it's not now going to go through civil society. Kasi ang complaint nila, all their money went to civil society organizations or NGOs. Dumami ang NGO, naging hanap buhay ito. Tawag nga nila corruption of these grant agencies. Kasi hindi na nila matrack yung pera nila. Today, they're going to go through the government, at least sa government, auditable kami, trackable yung pera nila, if ever, how we utilize it in delivery. There is the vaccine hesitancy problem. Although hindi ito malaki, no? We did a survey on our own. The Department of Health did a survey of vaccine hesitancy among mothers. Alam mo, 85% of the mothers want their children vaccinated. So hindi totoo. Maingay lang talaga yung social media natin. Siguro ako, tinatag ako. Kaya every time I open my Twitter, my X and my Facebook and my Instagram, may anti-vaxxer na nakatag ako. Kaya nababasa ko yung kanilang mga pseudoscience and everything. And I wonder, kawawa naman yung mga nakakabasa nito that doesn't have the knowledge to evaluate and critique this unscientific. Kasi pag binasa mo, parang totoo eh. Maniniwala ka eh. So this disinformation is happening and there are people who are still hesitating to have their children vaccinated because of this information they read on social media. It takes money for me to fight this type of misinformation. Pera ang kalaban yan, ang katapat. So dagdag na naman yan sa gastos on making sure mothers agree that their children be vaccinated and are well informed about the values of vaccination. So it doesn't help that we also had past controversies from vaccination. So nakadagdag pa yan. And then, of course, this online disinformation, ewan ko si Ma'am Professor Bravo kung nagagamit na rin yung image niya. Kasi yung image ko, image ni Willie Ong, image yung asawa ni Willie Ong. Siguro kayong mga doktor, ginagamit din nila, lagyan ng AI. Tapos paniwalang paniwala, may tumatawag sa akin, Sected, magaling ba talaga yung Sarayuma, yung nire-recommend mo? Oh my God, sabi ko. So, it targets the elderly and the uninformed. Ingat tayo and help me also make sure that scientific information is really disseminated to our mothers and parents. We need to undo all of this kasi nga years of gains in the vaccination program nasira with one misstep in the vaccination program. Rebuilding trust requires a sustained effort in the community with engagement. We need to increase health literacy. Akala natin gumaganda with social media, pumapangit kasi nga because of the negative information. We need transparent communication. Your knowledge, itong room na to with your collective cerebral power on knowledge and vaccination should be able to answer and dispel the disinformation put out by non-doctors and non-professionals on social media. We must equip our local health workers not only with vaccines, but also with the right tools and the right messages to help families make the informed and confident choices to get their families vaccinated. Lastly, data fragmentation. This continues to limit our visibility. We look at national averages. Sa Batanes, sinasabi sa akin, Sek, nahanap na namin lahat ng bata, pero 50% pa lang kami nung target. But where are the kids? Because the estimates they use are the national estimates. They are forced to use the ratio. Don't use the ratio. Use the actual rate of the actual population of your community. And then this is the era of data analytics and data science. This is no longer the era of parang magra-randomized controlled trial ka, iba-base mo dun sa previous study. Ngayon, everything is put in a data lake, everything is put on a GIS map, and you can have dashboards. You can follow online whether your progress of vaccination is. Let's use data, let's use AI, let's use blockchain para magamit natin for vaccination program. This incomplete reporting affects coverage estimates, it affects our forecasting, it also affects resource allocation. Strengthening data interoperability. I don't even see in a central command center what our status was. Pero nung COVID, nakikita ko. Kasi every morning, nagre-report lahat ng LGU. Why can't we do that again for our national immunization program? Digital registries na hindi na do-doctor. Sanitized yung data, hindi naman totoo. Pagkatapos magkaka-outbreak doon. Sabi ko, paano nagka-outbreak doon sa lugar na yun? 95% daw yung fully immunized child nila. So we need to strengthen data interoperability. We need to strengthen our digital registries. Yung private sector, hindi nagre-report. Pwede ko bang i-mandate na lahat ng pediatrician dito na i-vaccinate nyo sa clinic? I-report nyo sa aming online website lang naman yon. I can mandate that and ask, but I have to make paalam sa PPS, Philippine Pediatric Society. Para lang, I'll sit down with them para when I issue it out, susunod lahat, and I have to make it easy for you. It must be web-based. Para sa telepono nyo lang, after your clinic, lahat ng binakunahan mo that day, nare-report mo na. So we need to build a system that integrates planning, procurement, supply chain delivery, reliability of data, data accuracy, implementation program. Kailangan may dashboards tayo. And we need to build public health trust. You want to increase vaccination, you need to go out there and really sell what you want, which is vaccination of the children. We need public trust into one cohesive and resilient system. So it's a whole of nation approach talaga. it takes a village to raise a child, and this is our village. So what are our ways forward, and what are my advice? To move forward, we must restore vaccine confidence. Trust. Trust in the national government. Ayoko na mag-expand ng coverage. I-attain muna natin yung FIC that we are actually implementing. Pagkatapos kung nagagawa natin yon, tsaka tayo magdagdag. For any new ones, I'll let the private sector do that. Takeda is online for a new vaccine for dengue. Di ko muna implement yan. Let the private sector get that. And then if there are money and taxes later on after several. Ganun naman ang ginawa sa hepatitis eh. We were one of the first to get the hepatitis vaccine kasi surgeons kami. So we got the hepatitis B vaccination early on, the moment it was approved, but it was not allowed in the program until later on, tsaka na nilagay. Pero ang na-realize ko, yung Hep B vaccination pala yan, Professor Lulu, it only prevents the mother-to-child transmission. Yung first day of life, yung, di ba, binavaccinate. Dahil mataas ang incidence natin ng Hep B sa community, nagkakahawahan pa rin because that vaccination of the mother-to-child is prevented with the shot, with the jab at the day 1. But it doesn't prevent later transmission. So pataas ng pataas pa rin ang ating Hep B vaccination. So we also need to work on hepatitis B. Galing din ako sa Harvard, yun yung grupo na tumutulong sa akin, yung primary healthcare studies. Yun ang study nila dito. So, what are the things we need to achieve this plan? Number 1, we need to unify our efforts. The private sector, the public sector, the national, the LGU, even the legislators that give the budget, lahat dapat mag-cooperate. So, lakasan nyo yung voice. This is the community I'm talking to. Increase your volume so that people will hear. Number 2, leverage the digital platforms. I think it's about time we can ask already the private sector to report because it will probably just take a phone and a link in a site and you can report the number of kids vaccinated. Pwede namang anonymize yan so we don't reveal any information but we get the number of kids done by the private sector. Ngayon, estimate lang eh. 15 to 20%. Baka nga higher pa. Baka 25% pa of our kids are going. Kaya ang baba ng aking public vaccination. Kasi baka lahat nagpupunta sa... Bakit? Kung ang anak mo kailangan ng bakuna, alam mo gusto mong bakunahan, pumunta ka sa health center, walang bakuna, anong gagawin mo? Punta ka sa pediatrician's clinic, may bakuna, bayad ka na kahit ilang libo para may bakuna yung anak mo. So I'm thinking that's what's happening. Let's leverage the digital platform. Letter C dito is cold chain capacity. We need to build our... And cold chain needs energy. The same with data. Yung data pala, ang data analytics pala, hindi mini-measure in terabytes and gigabytes. They measure in megawatts. Kasi tinanong ako UAE is giving me a data center. But these data centers pala need cooling, need energy. Every time you ask a question with your ChatGPT or your AI, that's churning a lot of energy. Kaya many countries are actually converting to nuclear power because the future will be AI-driven and it will be big buildings where all these data systems are asking questions with each other. So if we want to use data analytics, we need to build data centers in health. So they're building me, the UAE is building me a 40-50 megawatt data center for health. Uunahin ko yung mga priority ko, 8-point priority agenda. But eventually, you need hospital data, hypertension registries, diabetes registries, renal dialysis registries, para we can generate all this. So very important yung digital platforms. I'm actually luckier that this generation of young doctors are more digitally savvy. So it's easier to introduce. Nung panahon natin, manghirap kasi ayaw lumipat from manual to digital. Ngayon, nagrereklamo ang bata pag wala ka sa digital. So this is the generation we should be addressing, the internet generation. Cold chain capacity. Naku, ito equipment and very important. And probably the drone system can work. Something like what Coca-Cola and everybody else has. This is the supply chain management. Hindi naman kailangan nandoon yung bakuna. Pwedeng dali na lang doon when you're going to do the vaccination. Procurement efficiency, streamlining processes of procurement. Ito yung sinasabi kong 3-year contracts, making the contracts bigger. making the companies. Ang problema lang ito, ang downside nito, some companies will leave. Kasi if two companies, let's say, PCB vaccine, dalawang kumpanya, may Pfizer, may MSD. Pag kinuha mo na yung isa, 3 taon na yung kontrata nun, aalis na yung isa. Yun ang threat nila lagi. And including all their other medicines of that company they make it to. So, hostage din ako ng multinational to actually compete them. So, to be fair, this year, MSD, next year, Pfizer. So, ganun yung laban. And the embassies of this company come to me. Oh, by the way, the American Chamber of Commerce is also asking your support in the procurement of American-made vaccines. Ano na yun? Pfizer, tsaka Merck Sharp and Dohme yun, di ba? We need to invest in workforce development. Naku, ito pa isang problema. Devolution. Every 3 years, election. Every 3 years, fired lahat ng mga barangay health worker, MHO, nurse na tinrain namin. So maggagawa ka ng vaccination program, you'll be meeting people who are untrained. Bagong upo, bagong appoint nung bagong mayor. Ayan na naman. So we're back creating more errors. So para tayong wagging the dog's tail. We're not improving and we're not. So we need to invest in workforce. Gusto ko kunin na lahat ng barangay health worker under the Department of Health. Tapos sweldohan ko sila para hindi volunteer. Then, lastly, let's counter misinformation. This is the biggest help you can give me. Conferences like this. After this, makipag-usap tayo sa every patient that goes to your clinic, every community that you get to engage with. Let's increase our volume of discourse in vaccination. So when the public reaches and aligns with the private innovation in the community trust, we can build a health system that is inclusive, efficient, and future-ready. Under the DOH 8-point action agenda, number 1 kong priority sa 8 priority public health outcomes ang immunization. Sabi ko, I want 95% fully immunized children in the Philippines. We must have that mindset that we can do 95% immunization of our children. Ay, meron pa pala ako. Inclusive operable systems that can track vaccine from the warehouse to the child. Resilient and adaptive health systems. So yung binibuild ko ngayon, nadinig yung bukas, yung Purok Kalusugan, door-to-door, house-to-house. Yung Purok Kalusugan ay patterned after a movie I saw called Blue Zones. Napanood nyo na ba yun sa Netflix? There's a country there called Costa Rica. Low-income country, poorer than us, but their life expectancy at birth is 81. Tayo, 71 for women, 69 for men. Ang layo natin. They have the health indices of a first world country. Pero wala silang barangay health center. Napakamahal na milyon. House to house yung health worker nila. Pag bisita nila to vaccinate a child, titingnan na rin nila yung pregnant mother. Titingnan na rin nila yung matandang may hypertension. Hindi ba mas efficient? Diba? We don't need these health centers. We need house to house, family by family, what they teach us in the School of Public Health. So we need resilient and adaptive systems that will be ready to adapt to new pandemics. Lastly, kailangan community-driven. You all come from communities. I think vaccinations should come and should be driven by the community through each purok, through each barangay, through each school. Dapat nga ma-mandate natin na na-check yung vaccination status ng all the kids. Dadagdagan ko to ng private sector engagement. I think with the lesson on polio, we can never achieve these targets, these very ambitious targets, without the private sector engagement, without you guys helping me. So these priorities are anchored in our platforms, Purok Kalusugan, Bukas, Pinasigla Program for Wellness, Prevention. 3 lang naman ang program ko TED, pinakamadali tandaan. Tamang pagkain, bawal ang maalat, matataba, at matatamis. Pangalawa, ehersisyo. Pangatlo, disiplina, bawal ang alak, droga, vape, at sigarilyo. Tapos 3 din ang priority ko. So meron akong mga 8, meron akong by 3 para madali tandaan. Number 1 is health promotion and disease prevention. Doon nakapasok yung vaccination, which is a disease prevention mode. Pangalawa ko is acute care. Yun yung bukas, yung urgent care. I'm an emergency doctor. So if you want to have universal health coverage, ang una mong titingnan ay kung ikaw ay may emergency, may mapupuntahan ka ba? So this is why my bukas was very successful. 58 already functional. I only targeted to build 28 by 2028. 2025 pa lang, meron na akong 58. I have 30 more to go. Then I discovered 30 super health centers. 300 super health centers not functioning. Gagawin ko rin parang mini bukas yung mga yan. So that healthcare will be accessible at the community level. And third ko, priority, sino nag-aalaga sa mga babae? Di ba? Sino nag-aalaga sa akin? Asawa ko. The women who take care of us. Children. Who gets the children vaccinated? Mga nanay. Di ba? Who takes care of the adolescent? The mga nanay. But who takes care of the mga nanay? Wala. Sila-sila lang. Nakikimarites lang doon sa kapitbahay. Di ba? Makikihiram lang. Ano iniinom mo sa high blood? High blood daw ako. Manghihiram lang nung ano iniinom ng kapitbahay. So we need to take care of the women. If the women take care, if I take care of the women, if we take care of the women will take care of the whole population. And then all the children will get vaccination. So it's good principle to take care of the health of the women. Okay ba yan? Kaya may breast cancer program ako. Pinapabili ko ng mammogram lahat ng mga hospital. Cervical cancer screening. Pinapabili ko na. Pati yung HPV testing. Pinapabili ko na rin yung HPV testing para mag-increase yung HPV vaccination natin. By the way, that's another success I would like to claim. Napilit ko yung presidente in 2024. Sabi ko, Mr. President, parang COVID-19 yan. Pag ang binibili nating HPV ay para lang doon sa mahihirap, we will never reach 95%. So pumayag siya, binili namin lahat ng HPV vaccine for all 9-year-old. Ayun, nagpapatayan ngayon yung mga kumpanya na gumagawa ng HPV vaccines. But it's actually good for our 9-year-olds. My problem is not all mothers give their consent. Ang baba pa rin. The vaccine is available, but in the school-age vaccination program, hindi na kukuha yung consent ng mga nanay. Takot pa rin sila na babak. Kasi ano ang school-age vaccination ba? Dingback siya. Kaya takot sila doon sa school-age vaccination. As we approach the golden year of our national immunization program, let us continue to move forward. Let's ABE together towards advancing better immunization outcomes for every Filipino. Let us sustain the culture of protection, this legacy of prevention, and this commitment of equity. Sabi ko nga, if there's only going to be one activity left for the Department of Health, that has to be the immunization program. Today, we can ensure that no Filipino will suffer from a vaccine-preventable disease. To the Philippine Foundation for Vaccination, our longtime partners, and every health worker at the front lines of this mission, thank you for your service and thank you for your commitment. The future of our children's health security is in your hands. And together, we should be able to deliver. Dahil sa bagong Pilipinas, bawat bata mahalaga.